What's up, everybody?
Hello.
Welcome to episode 5. We're we're moving. We're
All right,
cooking.
boom.
Episode 5. Really excited about our guest today. Um, Longtime teammate of ours and now a caddy on the DP World Tour, Leo Rigamonti.
No,
Leo,
no, no, no. Hold on. You got to
oh,
say the name right.
Leonardo Rigamonti.
Leonardo
I
Rigamonti,
got
Italia.
Grazie, grazie, grazie. Hello,
wow.
Forza
guys.
Italia.
What an
Hello,
intro.
guys. Thanks.
All right.
Wow.
So
Yeah, that's
American.
enough.
So American.
Just leave it. All right,
Good
Leo,
morning.
buddy.
Good morning to you, Scoobs.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Good morning.
To us.
Yep.
Can't believe you're not in the U.S. You could be in the U.S. right now.
I could be in the US. Correct.
Are you
But
caddying right now?
I would have been caddying. Yes, would have been caddying, but I decided to take a little time at home. It's been a
A
lot
little
of traveling.
adventure. A lot of
That's it.
adventure, that pretty much sums up Leo's personality right there. I like it. So Leo, we're gonna get right into it here. We're like the Sherpa of this conversation. All right. So we're gonna take you to the peak and we're gonna take you all over the place. All right, buddy?
To the
So
peak.
I'll take a lot
So you're
to the
going to
peak.
get
and enjoy
peak?
the tour.
Kind of what I was up the mountain, you know. Oh, I'm back. All right. So I get a text from Leo. So let's take it back. We went to school together, University of the Pacific, and we'll get into some of the details of that as well. But and then you graduate and you're a little bit lost for the most part. Okay. You're scooping ice cream in San Diego for a little bit. It's you're a little bit lost, but all of a sudden you go back to Italy, you're tutoring, you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm getting texts from you here and there. I don't know what I'm doing. And then boom, I get a text from Leo in June of 2024 saying, hey, I'm going to caddy on the challenge tour next week. And then about a month later, I reach out. I'm like, hey, how's it going? And you're like, I'm caddying on the challenge tour. So tell me a little bit about that transition, how you got into caddying, what it's been like for you so far, just in general.
Yeah. We have to go a bit back, but yes, it was actually beginning of the year of 2024. I was working for a startup in Venice, and I was going to Venice to work for them, and I remember I was listening to an interview of a player, an Italian player, called Stefano Mazzoli, who had just gotten the Asian tour card. You know, the Q school happens usually at the beginning of the year, and he had gotten through that, and they were interviewing him after this success, and then he said that he was looking for a caddy, and I was like, well, oh my god! I mean, I knew him. I knew him before. We were from the same area, Lake Como. Used to have the same coaches. The when I used to play too, and so I just texted him, and fast forward a few months later, we were like, okay, let's give this a shot. We went to Austria together on challenge tour for the first time, and it was yes, June 2024. We finished top 10 that week, so we thought it was it was a good sign of partnership. Maybe this thing can go well. We flew So at that time, Stefano did not have full category on Challenge Tour. He was going on invites, and so with that top 10, we got to go to Ireland the following week. Last minute trip plan. We go to Northern Ireland. We play well together again. It was like top 25, and then that was kind of a good start. We were liking the work together, and so after a couple of months, we hopped on a big flight to Taiwan, and we went for a 5-week stretch on Asian tour. For me, yes, it was kind of
That's
bringing together a bit of exploration, visiting, exploring countries that I've never been to. Here is my
yeah.
personality coming out, and
Hey, we're right
nice.
back to exploring. Um,
And I mean, I
it's
thought I
pretty.
had some experience in golf to still to give, So
I mean, it was a pretty unbelievable transition from our perspective, just watching you go from being like so unfulfilled in something to all of a sudden you're back right into golf and you're at the highest level. And we've had lots of conversations about our passion for high performance and the people you've gotten to see right like in the front part of the stage. Like, you guys have played with Justin Rose, guys like Patrick Reed, um just a whole bunch of really high performers that we've talked about
Rory,
for years. And Rory, yeah, the bike's next to Rory. We gotta learn how to pull up pictures, Pete. That's our next little thing.
Yeah.
Pictures here. Um, but yeah, it's been really cool. I wanted to kind of get your opinion on how, when you first started, what was it like caddying? Because it's a lot of work caddying, and I'm sure you didn't really know what you were really doing to start. Um, what was that transition like when you first got out there?
well, at the beginning, for me, it was being a bit cautious, just kind of tagging along with the player, trying to get to know him, and not interfering too much in what he was doing. For me, it was also a lot of observation at the beginning. Obviously, a player should know what to do on the golf course. A caddy is just kind of double checking that he's doing things okay and is not doing anything stupid. So at the beginning, for me, it was just observing, making sure things are okay, and and then week by week, you learn a bit more from each other. You give each other feedback, and you start maybe giving more inputs, starting to become a little more get closer to the player, having exchanging more information. But at the beginning, just chill, observe, make
Yeah,
sure the
yeah,
person is in a good headspace, and yeah.
that makes sense. I mean, we're gonna kind of jump around here, but what would you change with how you played golf in college based on your experience out there? Was there anything like super surprising to you? Like, why didn't I do that? Or why did I do that? Um, yeah,
In terms of playing golf in college, like the difference between that I noticed between me playing college golf and the pro out there.
yeah, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
not like skill level wise, but like how you process stuff. Like, even like, okay, these guys are really good, like maybe something that you didn't know was how good they were, but I wanted to kind of get your
Or even like preparation and strategy and the stuff they do off the course to get ready, you know.
like, was there anything that you were surprised about, or that you would like if you went back to college and you played golf again? How would you work differently in that regard?
If I was going back to college, I wouldn't have grinded so much on the range, on technique.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. I would have organized my practice a little differently, and I would have tried to just do more performance uh, drills, and just making sure that on the course I wasn't doing stupid mistakes and just keeping the ball in play. I think most of the guys out here really play conservative, and then it's just a matter of rolling the ball in the hole, and if it doesn't go in, go to the
Interesting.
next one, and yeah,
So,
I
so
mean,
you think a lot of guys play super conservative out there for the most part, like middle of the green ish?
yeah. I think on European tour and Challenge Tour too, they really tuck the pins, and so you have to be very disciplined out there. Otherwise, you get in some screwed places.
Yeah.
Um, college teaches you that, but I think there is still that the young aggressiveness that you want to maybe go for it a bit more. Um, it's good to be conservative like that. That's what I've noticed. Yeah, just aim 8 meters right of the pin, and 10 meters right of the pin sometimes, and at least the target.
Yeah.
No, very very decade. A lot of people use decade. Uh, so it's I wasn't
Because it's been something.
doing it in college, so it's
No,
good
it's
to
Yeah.
just really
see.
funny. I think this is a time for a little story here because I'll start it and Leo, you can take over. But when you first came to Pacific, you transferred from junior college, right?
Yeah,
And
Division 2 college. Yeah.
you had yeah, you had a win. You're playing really good. You're ranked, I think, fifth or fourth on the rankings. So really good player. Came in, and I guess the courses got a little bit more difficult, and the pins were a little bit more tucked. And Leo was known for being Italian, for this super aggressive strategy, going after every pin. It could have been 260 yards over the water, out of bounds to the right, and he
Reowned,
goes
no?
right at the stick. At three would, anything right at the stick. So then, obviously that was driving the coaches crazy. And probably for the whole next year, every single round, he had one of the coaches on the back caddying, making sure he, doesn't go at every flag, making sure that um, he's not doing something, crazy aggressive or stupid aggressive, I guess. And then, um, and this is where he can take over. We get to, I think it was Oregon. We get done with the tournament and we're at the airport, and you're telling us a story how um, Coach Morin told you, you're like talking about a shot, and you're like, "Oh, all right, coach, like, where do you like this? Couple of yards to the right?" And it's like, "No, Leo, you can go right at it." You're just like
What?
freaked out.
Really?
Well, I think it started with this. It started with this. We were in San Joaquin one year, and you were like, get to this hole. I think it might even be the 18th hole, and it's a par
Yeah, the par
five,
five.
OB
Yeah,
left, and you're on one. You're on a heater, right? And instead of the coaches kind of letting you go a little bit, they had to rein you back in, right? So you get up to this one hole, and I remember this pretty clearly, and it's like you cannot go left. Like you can go anywhere right, you cannot go left here. And coach is like, hey, Leo, like we're gonna aim to the right edge of the green here. And yeah, we're hitting at the right edge of the green. And Leo's like, oh, all right, yeah, like we're going to the right edge of the green. I like that, coach. And sure enough, Leo aims at the right edge of the green and he hits a flailing hook in there to about 10 feet, right? But he had no business going after this pin. And Leo's like, oh yeah, great. Thanks, coach. That was awesome. And coach is like, you went after the pin. What are you doing? And he goes, oh, I aimed at the right edge of the green. We just hit a hook in there. You know, like I just hit a hook in there. Like that's the way we got to do it. Yeah, I saw that
That's the
shot,
way.
coach.
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
it's like a 3-iron, a 2-iron in.
Yeah, it's like a 2-iron.
You guys
So-
have a much vivid memory of my game than I have. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah,
No,
you're
totally,
like, no.
totally.
And then
You have to
fast forward
you have
to our
count
last year.
You have to count the misses. You have to count the misses, and
It's
if
true.
you pick a conservative target, then you're more free to do maybe something more. No, not the perfect shot, but you can hook it in there and have a nice birdie like that.
But yeah, fast forward to I think it was Oregon or something, or might have been our conference trip. It might have been our last tournament of the year, and finally Leo's like scared to go after a pin after 4 years at Pacific, or 3 years at Pacific, and now Coach Morin's telling you to aim at some pins.
But coach, what do you mean?
What do you mean? I don't aim at the pins.
I don't understand.
I don't know what to
Yo.
do. I don't understand. Ragazzo, porcatino. That might have been one of the it was so funny in the airport. I was dying laughing.
Coach Morin was good. It was good input for me. Very good. Shout out
yeah.
to him
Yeah.
for yeah. When he was carrying when he was on my bag, I usually had a good run.
And you
No,
know, full
just
circle.
yeah.
And Leo's telling his player to aim away from the pin on the European tour. You know,
Yeah.
how cool is that?
Go.
It
There you go.
took you a while, but you got it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Leo actually caddied for me for a summer. I don't know if you remember that, Leo. We had some
Sure.
good times.
Yeah. Poppy Hills.
I had to let it was kind of crazy. I had to let him go sometimes. I had to let Leo go. You know, I think you probably got a little bit better when you were on the European tour, but I mean, there was one round where Leo, we're like 5 minutes out from the tee time. He's like, "Hey, I'm gonna go grab a coffee real quick." I'm like, "Leo, we're teeing off in 5 minutes here. And he's like, he's like, "I gotta go grab a coffee." I'm like, "You had an hour to grab a coffee while I was warming up here." And I'm like, "All right, give me my driver. I'll meet you out there."
I hope Stefano doesn't hear this because it happened with him too. Yeah, I brought it to the tour, but then I learned now no more. No, now
No more of that.
I go to the course way earlier and I make sure that everything is ready before tee off. No, no bullshit like that anymore. I learned it.
I don't know if you remember this too, but
Coach Cook will be
USAM
proud.
qualifier. Yeah, I don't remember if you remember this, but USAM qualifier, you caddied for me too, and I'm like, "Hey Leo, we're teeing off hole 10 today. You know, make sure you're there. Everything's spotless, going clean. I don't have to worry about you. You're there in the warm up." And then all of a sudden you get carried away with one of your buddies on the practice green. Okay. And I'm standing on hole 10 tee, and you're like, "I'll meet you over there." And I'm standing on hole 10 tee, and I'm like, "Where's Leo?" I'm teeing off in like 2 minutes. I don't even have a driver at this point. I'm like,
No.
and my mom was watching, so I'm like, "Hey, can you get Leo? Like, I got to tee off here in a second." And you mixed up which one was hole 1 and hole 10. And you're standing over there. I can see my mom like running over. She taps you on the shoulder like, "Hey, get to the tee." I've never seen a human run so fast on the golf course. Just booking it.
No one will like to have me as a caddy after this podcast.
But I'm just saying, I'm sure
No,
it's gotten a lot better.
knowing this.
I'm sure it's gotten a lot better.
No.
But this is the
It
Italian
has
way. That's why
gotten
you and Stefano, you know, got along so well. So, but yeah, we had some good times when you were on the bag, and in college, watching you fire after pins. So, let's get back on track a little bit. That was a little bit of a
Yeah.
but so when you and is it Stefano? Is that a good
Yep.
is that a good pronunciation?
Stefano. Just
Stefano.
do the hand gesture, you'll be fine. You know.
Stefano. You and Stefano first got started. You guys played some pretty good golf, you know, like you guys were, I think, in Ireland was kind of where you guys started, right? And you guys played some really good golf. Tell us about the transfer from like the Asian tour. At one point I was talking to you and you said, "Hey, I think we're going to try and get on live." And it's kind of harder than expected to get out there. And you kind of worked your way up to the Challenge Tour and then eventually onto the DP World Tour. So tell us a little bit about what you learned along the way there. Like, I know don't aim after pins, but what does a normal week look like for you out there? And tell us a little bit about the preparation that goes into each event.
Right. Maybe the premise here is, we went through 3 different tours: Challenge Tour, Asian Tour, DP. Now, I think the modus operandi is always the same. Doesn't really change. The week starts on Monday. The caddy usually shows up before the player. Goes map the course. So it takes about 3.5 hours, sometimes 4, depending on the course, depending how difficult the greens are, green complexes usually. And then we do some practice rounds. So that's why it's important that the caddy has the course figured out before the player. So when we go on the course together, I already know which line we should go for, and tell him a bit about around the greens, what's going on there.
Do you
So
do you get the pin locations? Do you get the pin locations before, like on the Monday, or is it kind of change week to week?
Yeah, no, I don't get the pin locations. I can get the pin locations from the previous years, so I know potentially where they can be, but it's not guaranteed that they will be there. So I have some ideas. I can see when I'm walking the course where they could be placed, but I don't have any guarantee on that.
So what specifically do you look at when you like come up to the green, and you know, like what do you specifically then tell the player, like, hey, this is, I guess, like where you want to miss it or where you don't want to miss it, like what it looks like, or is there any more detail that you look into?
No, that's usually it. And I based on pin locations, I maybe throw a ball in there and ask him, hey, you should try this shot. It might be a zone where we will end up, or it's okay where to end up. So better to practice this shot. I put a tee down or a phantom hole on a potential pin location, and we just try potential scenarios of the tournament. Nothing too crazy. Maybe some putts from long range, maybe bottom tier to top tier if there is a long pin and you don't want to go for it on the tournament. Yeah, and maybe throw a ball also in a tough spot. See how actually it is. Maybe there's a patchy rough, and see how it comes out of there. Yeah, that's usually
So
what we.
kind of a question I have is like, how much did when you first got out there, I'm sure it was kind of easy to feel like, hey, we have to hit this shot, we have to hit this shot, we have to hit this shot, we have to hit like there's very complex kind of when you first get out there. But how much does it change to being more of a general thing where it's like, hey, this week we're going to be hitting lots of long irons off the tee. Let's make sure we're prepared and ready to go with the long irons. Or um, is it like a hole by hole basis where you're like, I mean, I guess it's probably a combination where you're trying to dissect the course, but also get that player's skill set ready for that specific tournament. Um, what do you think about
For
that?
sure, yeah. Yeah. The first few days, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, it's all for that. Figuring out the course and then going back to the range and maybe work on those specific shots that the course require. Um, certain tee shots too. Maybe making a fairway on the range. And try to maybe hit a low cut in there. Maybe there are some challenging tee shots that you want to kind of dial in. So yeah, it's about that. It's not really about technique or making sure everything is perfect, but it's more about, okay, let's see if the game is ready. Make sure that the game is ready for that specific course. So yeah, if there are more
Yeah.
wedges, hit more wedges on the course, dial in the distances. So it's that's I think that's the cool part about also working together, caddy player. We figure out a certain practice to target that specific requirements of the course.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if that's mainly, or if it's like a team job, like you said, or if you watch him play, you watch the course, and you write down some notes about like, hey, I watched you go through the round. I think you need to work on this because you're gonna have a lot of 9 to 7 irons. So let's practice that. Or is it more of the player recognizing what he needs to work on, or is it as you said, kind of a team decision, I guess?
Yeah, it's a bit of both. Obviously, the player is aware of all these things, and I just maybe input a couple of things more if it's needed. But I mean, the player always has uh, its practice to do. Technique check, and then maybe when we reach the more performance side of things, we kind of work a bit more together. But we're both aware
Um,
of what's going on.
Tell me a little bit about kind of the technique work that you guys do. So obviously the swing coach isn't always there. Do you act as a second swing coach at times? Like, but yeah, I'm sure that's probably a pretty scary place to be um, when the player's struggling a little bit and he's like, "What do you think?" And you're like, huh, "I got to say the right thing here." Um, so tell me a little bit about when the player's struggling, how that goes, and I'm sure that's probably when you figure out whether you're a good match or not, right?
Yeah, good question. We stay recently. Um, he had some technique moments in which he wasn't very confident, and so yeah, we did the work a bit together. For me, it was easier because I also attended some of his practice sessions with the coach, so I knew what he had to work on and how his wing had to kind of look like from the outside. And also, we worked for 2 years together, so I know, I saw him repeatedly. I know when his wing is in a position to perform and hit the good shots. I know his tendencies, and so I do give him feedback. Yes, yes, yes.
How much does that change game plan when a player is struggling with a certain part of his game? Are you like specifically trying to avoid situations where he would be in that scenario, or like that's probably a little tricky too, where it's like this is the right play, but we're not going to do it because you're not hitting the shots, and then, or is it kind of like doesn't matter?
In an ideal world, yes, you will go for the strategy that you're feeling more comfortable with. But often on DP, there are situations in which you kind of have
Yeah,
to
yeah.
show up anyway and try to hit the shot. So yes, on an ideal world, yes, it would be like that. But no.
Doesn't always end up like that, right? Um, what has been your? I mean, this is kind of a broad question, but what has been your favorite part about caddying? Is it kind of the experiences of seeing new places, or is it experiences of seeing maybe golfers that you dreamed of playing with or seeing? Um, what do you think is your favorite part about caddying?
um, yeah. Well, caddying. When you're a caddy, you're in it. You're really in the game. Okay, so
Yeah,
it's a good way to observe too, and to absorb also things that are around you. Seeing other players practicing. I mean, you're on the range pretty much all the time when with the player. Obviously, you're focusing on the player, but I mean, you're seeing maybe next to you there is Patrick Reed doing the drills, or is Justin Rose on the other side. What kind of drills he does? How they make maybe like they select balls and they hit 5 balls like that, 5 balls in another way. So like you're observing a lot of things, and I think that's the a very nice part of being a caddy. You can absorb a lot of information um,
Mm.
about golf in general.
some things that
And
you're probably really curious about in the past, right?
exactly, yeah, that's definitely something I'm curious about, potentially in the future if I want to go down the maybe the teaching route. I mean, I feel like I've seen some
Yeah,
good things, interesting things throughout these 2 years. Um, and also how it's interesting to see how different golf is at such a high level compared to maybe something that they teach you at the when you're learning growing up. It's often at the beginning a lot of technique. You have to try to hit a shot here and there, but then when you reach that level, it's mostly about understanding the situation, figuring out a shot that fits the situation, and executing it. And that means have a really good understanding on what's going on the course too, which is something that maybe at the lower level or maybe amateur level growing up, you don't really think about. At least for me, I didn't think about it a lot. I was just trying to hit a good shot, have a good swing, but not really. The strategy wasn't really thought out.
yeah.
Here, especially as a caddy, you have to know the course in those first couple days, and then figure out a strategy for that it's the most efficient, conservative, and it puts you in a spot for you to at least have a safe par, and but also in a position where you can maybe attack the pin sometimes. Um, so it's a lot of planning and have being really aware of potential situations on the course.
Interesting.
What when you were talking about the how sometimes you have to coach him a little bit if he's struggling, do you also act as a, like, for example, you're on the road for 3 or 4 weeks, and then you get home and he has some time to practice. Does the coach reach out to you, or do you reach out to the coach with some feedback? Like, hey, I saw this. This was his miss. Usually with the driver off the tee or whatever. I think under pressure he started, going into his old habits a little bit with the technique, or something similar. Like, I think that'd be really cool to have like another person watching you play tournaments. Because, like, when we play, me and Alex, we're usually or always on our own,
by yourself.
and
Yeah,
you don't really know like what you're doing, you know, like the technique wise, or it can be something simple like setup, and when it's under pressure, your setup can get, you can aim somewhere a little bit different, or you put the ball back, and that affects your swing. And if you have a caddy who watches you on every shot, then it's awesome to have that feedback. So just curious how that works.
yeah, yeah. As you said, it's caddy is a person that keeps you accountable on what you're doing, and yeah, very much. It's often small things like aiming, as you said. It's really often that like obviously like the player already knows how to hit a shot, and if it's not hitting it well, it's usually small things, and you don't have to rechange the wheel or anything completely. Just tune up a few things, and I think uh, also talking through certain situations, because a lot of times I think it's a matter of how you see the shot, see the situation. Maybe the player doesn't hit the shot well because he doesn't see the shot. So talking through and seeing where he's struggling to see, maybe like, oh yeah, he says, well, yeah, I see the water on the left side, and I'm scared, and so that sheds a light, put a light on it, and at least okay, you're aware that maybe he's not hitting that shot properly because there is something in his head that is kind of blocking him from executing the shot. And it's not a technique based. It's not that. It's just because it cannot swing freely because there is an obstacle, and in his mind, it's blocking him to hit the shot freely. So um,
Also, now that you know that, how do you um address it? Like, if the player tells you, hey, like, anytime there's a hazard on the left, like, I kind of, I don't feel comfortable, or whatever, how do you, I guess, change it, or try to help him?
I think first step is important to be aware of that, and that we both know what's happening in his mind too. Sometimes the player don't say it. Stefano is a person that tries to keep his thoughts in his head, and so it's tough. It's good that he opens up and say those things. At least I'm aware, Maybe I see him hitting these bad shots, and I'm like, how the hell? Like, why? But then if he says it first there is the awareness, and then we can figure out based on the situation, maybe hitting 2 iron instead of a driver or a 3 wood. Um, that it's usually it's a shot that is more comfortable with it. But I think that the first step is important. Uh,
So it's almost about like putting it out in the open, right? Like say, hey, like I'm struggling with this shot. And like it's not like every shot, hey, this is the shot you're struggling with, but it's like understanding as a caddy, like, hey, maybe it's like really, really commit to this one. Like it's just another golf swing sort of thing. Or that's what it kind of sounds like. Something I'm curious about is we've talked a lot about it not being about technique. And I'm kind of curious of like, are these guys like so much more skilled than the guys we were playing in college, or like, and where do these guys really develop their skills? Does it just come from being so like this team, uh, this like team, I guess, environment that they're in? Does it come from that, of just like slowly grinding on that, or is it? I mean, a lot of these guys are getting it in college when they're still in that self exploration phase, right? So are these guys at like such a different level than guys in college are, or is it just how they're processing information?
I think it's definitely the latter. I mean, most of the players out here are coming from college. I mean, they went through college and after a couple of years are already winning on tour. So it cannot be that much different than what they were doing. Uh, Having a
Right.
caddy that helps them doing things properly and keep showing up there and polishing a few things here and there with the coach. I don't think it's. I don't think it has to be anything crazy different than college, to be honest. And it's just when the situation presents itself. I mean, you're ready. I think college prepares super well, and you just have to do similar things out there and be ready to embrace them. And once you get comfortable in those situations too, then it's easy to find yourself in contention all of a sudden. Like it just happens. I don't think you have to do anything crazy.
That's pretty cool. It's interesting how, I don't know, like I kind of had this idea when we were in college that, like obviously the people, like the top 10 players in the world are probably um a lot more skilled, but like players on the Challenge Tour or Hotel Planner Tour, I guess now, or even Corn Ferry, there's probably like not that much difference, like that it that it looks like there is, because you see them shoot 25 under or 30 under in a tournament. Um, but like sometimes you watch them on the range or just like practicing and the shots look the same. Uh, there's nothing crazy going on. And so it's interesting to, hear you say that basically you don't really have to change much. You kind of have to structure your practice a little bit better. You have to work on the right things to, get you ready for that tournament. Um, and then, you can find yourself in contention all of a sudden. It's very interesting. It's like, I don't know, you're always like looking up to those people as like they're so much better and so much more skilled and all that, but
You almost
they're
put them
just
on a
players.
pedestal sort of thing, right? Like, hey,
Yeah.
that guy's really good. Like, he's hitting the same shots as someone who's a pretty good college player at times, but
No, like
maybe.
obviously you see stuff like, like Rory hitting his high driver 330 in the air, and you're like, okay, well, I can't do that. But then you also see him like hit a wet shot from 80 yards into water, you're like, oh, like what the heck,
Yeah.
I don't know.
So Leo, this is kind of a good segue. Who were you? I mean, obviously, we have a picture of you next to Rory McIlroy on the bike. Um, and that kind of happened when you guys first got on the DP World Tour with you guys. I think we're playing in Australia a couple times, and that's when you really got to see all of the big guns. And um, I was just curious, like, was there anyone that you were, like, starstruck by when you were out there? Or, and I'm sure at the time you put everyone on a pedestal, like Justin Rose and those kinda guys. You have any cool stories of you playing with specific players or certain conversations, with those guys?
Yeah, well, we named Rory. I think Rory has definitely struck me. Uh, if there is somebody on another skill set, it's him. It seems like he's like a Formula One car with 1500 horsepower. Is unbelievable. Like uh, just the driver comes out of his face so fast. Like the ball out of the driver just comes out super
Yeah.
fast, and it's really impressive. And he has just this aura around him, and everybody, when he walks in the room, okay, Rory. I mean, he's small, he's small, so you don't sometimes you don't see him, but
One for the small
I mean,
guys. One for the, you feel them. One for the small guys. Now let's go, baby.
no, I mean, I think craziest moment had to be on that first tee, Royal Melbourne, at the Australian Open last round. We were paired with him and Matt McCarthy, who, by the way, was in our conference
Yeah.
PGA Tour player. So it was great pairing, and it was Sunday, and I kid you not, there were at least a couple thousand people just on the first tee, and we were already on the tee, grabbing the pin locations and everything, and he walks in, and he's just laser focused. He takes off his hat, shakes the hand, is like, "Hey, I'm Rory," and I'm like, "Wow!" He's just he struck me. He struck me just for how he looked like he was almost on drugs, almost like so focused and calm and composed with the aura around him that he seemed just okay. I'm the fucking best here. Just
Yeah.
he showed that, and
Where do you think?
That's pretty cool.
and then at least for me,
Where do you think that mindset comes from? Where do you think that mindset comes from when you got a guy like that? Is it just years of being good, being great?
Well, he was at the end of his major year. What that he accomplished the career Grand Slam, won the Ryder Cup. So I mean, probably level of confidence in himself. Just
Yeah,
the
I don't
highest.
think that's really like a mindset that you can kind of learn. It's just what it is. It's just reality, Like he's the freaking best player.
Yeah.
Like he just, like it's just what it is.
He built
Did
up.
he
Obviously,
play pretty
maybe
good?
20 years ago he wasn't like that, but right now he reached the state, and it was really impressive. Definitely struck me. But then after a few holes, we started talking to him. So at the beginning it was like everybody was doing its own things, and then we started talking, and he was like, "Hey, where are you from?" So like he started the conversation. We said, we're from Lake Como, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna go there this summer and on vacation." So it was like it broke the ice, and then at that point things went smoother, and it was actually a lot more enjoyable to be around him. And yeah, it was a great day for that. I think I think just to go back to what you said, putting people on the pedestal, it's so true. I think nowadays with social media, I mean, I've seen Rory a million times on Instagram, on TV, on YouTube. So of course I'm in my head he's like on a huge pedestal, and so many other guys too. But and it's super nice to have a personal connection to them. When you start talking, then this pedestal crumbles by itself, and you're just like pretty much at the same level. You're connecting on, he's just a dude.
Yeah,
He's just a dude,
he's
and
just a normal dude. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of
he just plays golf a bit better than most of us, but he's still a dude. So um, so yeah, that was nice. The other experience we had, yeah, with Justin Rose, that was actually even better
with who?
because
Or you broke up.
Justin.
Is it
Sorry.
Justin Rose?
Justin Rose.
Yeah. I was gonna say about Justin Rose. We played with him in Hong Kong in 24, end of 24, and that experience with him was even better because he put himself on our level even before the round started. He introduced himself to Stefano in the gym when they were both warming up, doing mobility, and that already set the tone for the rest of the day. He was just on the first tee. He was just shaking his hand, but we already kind of just on
Same,
he,
yeah,
he, he
same
wasn't
level.
he wasn't yeah he got himself down the pedestal, which was I thought Justin Rose was a really a gentleman, Sir Justin Rose, I call him. I mean,
That's funny.
he was really kind to us, both him and Fuch, his caddy. Very, very just supportive and encouraging to us. Guys you guys did a good job. I mean, we beat him too. We beat him by a couple shots, so
Let's go.
it was nice. And so they congratulated us, and it was just a big confidence booster too. It's like, okay, fuck, we played with Justin Rose, we beat him, and we got clapped by him. So that's good.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Now,
Yeah.
do you like when you play with these players? Obviously, in the round, you're kind of um, focused on your player and your performance. But then, do you have any time to maybe watch their caddies and try to learn from them? Because obviously, they're probably the most experienced caddies out there. So, yeah.
See. It's funny. It's funny. Well, first of all, I want to say that every caddy player relationship is very different. For example, Rory and his caddy, it was crazy. It seemed like they weren't. I mean, Rory was doing everything by his own, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I saw Harry's book. No, actually, no. Rory's book was blank. Had no notes on it. It seemed like he was just playing the course as he was going out with his buddies, kind of thing. He had no note, completely blank. I kid you not. I saw it. I saw a bunch of pages, not a mark on it. Harry was just double checking the distances, and he pretty much did not give him any input unless in one part 3 where Rory hit a shot that caught the wind and kind of plugged in the bunker, and it was just he was trying to figure out potential solutions to where to miss, where to take the peel, because he couldn't go for the pin, so he had to go to another part of the green. And so he was looking around and like, Harry, what do you think here? And Harry gave him a couple of suggestions, but then Rory did on his own anyway. So
But here's the thing, like that's what Rory probably needs to play at a high level. He already
exactly.
knows he needs. It's like Harry does what his job is, right? And like it's probably not working as hard as Justin Rose's pooch, right? But
Yeah.
it's what Rory needs in that specific moment. And it's almost tougher as a caddy in that regards because you have to stay sharp to the point where when he does ask you for advice, you're ready to go versus, like versus giving input on every shot. And then like instead you're asked twice throughout a round, and you have to be mentally ready for that, you know?
Totally,
You also
totally.
probably have to like really, because he probably wants you there more for this, so he can relax and talk to his almost more of a friend than a caddy. Just like talk about random stuff, and sometimes it's like it's almost easier to talk about shots because the whole day, it's 5 hours or 6 hours. Sometimes you're on the course. It can be hard to like keep talking about something, and if it's a final round and he just wants you there not to give him advice, but really to keep him, in a good mindset or good relaxed, atmosphere. It can be tough too, you think? It's like I don't know, like if you have the shots to talk about, it really like kind of takes half of the time that you need to talk. But if you don't have those shots, that's an extra time you need to think of stuff to say, I guess. Does that make
Totally.
sense? Like,
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
I mean, you're just only thinking how to keep him in a good headspace, and
What are
because
some
if you have to talk through shots and rake bunker, clean the ball, and make sure everything else is correct, I mean, it takes a lot of headspace for that. And then if you have to also give that kind of emotional support, it's really hard because it's hard to stay clear. It's like, okay, I'm understanding what's going on, and then but if you are kind of overworked with the stuff to do, shots to figure out, then it's easy to maybe not be open to give the right words to the player.
that this is kind of a good segue into this. What do you think is what are some ways that you learn to just like make sure that it's like a normal day on the golf course, or like is it having like for Stefano, is it like having conversations with other players? Is I mean, it's probably specific to the player at that point, but what are some different ways that you learned like kept Stefano in a good headspace sort of thing?
Um, yeah, just I mean, he's quite independent in terms of like he doesn't he likes to think about his own things most of the time.
Yeah.
So like he doesn't require that we talk so much all the time. But
So maybe it's just even saying nothing, right?
so yeah,
Which would be
sometimes
an initial
we just
thing,
walk
right?
and I just try to get ready for the next shot before him. Um, Most of the
I
time
think
is like
that's
that.
important too. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's just or yeah, uh, looking at the gallery and maybe there are some interesting people to look at, and
Yeah.
you take the mind off of that.
Well, you also like you're a high performer in the arena as well, right? So like not only are you responsible for him being in the right mindset, but you have to do what you need to do to make sure that you're ready to go. Um, how much of that did you learn about yourself, and like what are some ways that keeps you in a good mindset? Is it almost like having a conversation with yourself because you can't talk to your player, or maybe is it talking to other caddies, or just observing in people in the crowd, thinking about what you're gonna do later? Like, talk a little bit about your mindset as a caddy, and how that's super important.
I guess main thing for me is to be ahead, stay on top of things,
Mm,
which you guys know very well, and you described it before. It's not really my my default tendency. So for
sure.
me, it's good for me actually because it challenges me to be on top of things. and being ahead. So obviously I have to, if when we get to the tee box, I already have to know what the wind is doing and what kind of potential strategies there can be there, run outs and everything, and already kind of have numbers in mind. So when the player asks, I'm
Ready to go.
I'm on top
Yeah.
of it. And same with the second shots or pursue the green and everything. So it's for me it's a good reminder, yes, to be ahead, because at least I can figure out the shot before the player, and I'm more aware if the player is thinking in a not so good way about the shot. Because if I'm behind, then everything is kind of he's telling me, yeah, I see this shot here, but in the back of my mind I still have to figure out the distance, and then I'm not really understanding what he's saying, and I cannot stop him or anything. And then if I feel like it's wrong, I am gonna stop him too late, and then we're on the clock, and then a lot of things happen. So it is very fast paced, especially on the DP. They're trying to keep a fast policy with the timing sessions and everything. So my requisite, my priority is to be on top of things and ahead.
Yeah. And it's almost like you're kind of talking about making sure that you're prepared before your player is, so that you can be more present with the player. Whereas
Right.
if you're doing if you're looking for a yardage or trying to get a number, you're not really with your player. It's like hard to do two things at once, right? Whereas like how present you can be with the player at hand, so you can recognize situations and when he's uncomfortable and really be with the player, right?
Very well said. Yeah. It's like, if it's the difference is quite staggering when I'm able to be there before and understand the situation before it gets there. Then yes, I have already the shot a hand figured out in my head, and whatever he says, I'm able to give him my input right away. That's like, okay, no, I think we should add a couple more meters, or just watch out that the wind is a bit more down, and I think I see a full shot right in the wind instead of maybe what he's thinking, like a half shot. But if
Yeah.
I'm falling behind and I'm still doing the yardage, yes, I'm not present for him, and I'm not able to give him a clear information right away. That's really important, I think, for a caddy. And
Um,
it
yeah.
keeps the situation also clean, and that's one thing that maybe uh, differs from college to the tour, and it's something that will help college players sometimes. Or I think, at least for me, my experience in college, sometimes I was hitting shots not really aware of what was going on,
Right, not having, like, a
or
clear picture. There wasn't a lot of
clear
clarity. It was
picture.
like, "Hey, I
Exactly.
know I can't hit
Exactly.
it there, but what am I
Exactly.
supposed to do?" Sort of thing.
Exactly.
Like
Do you
Exactly.
ever get into a situation where, like, let's create a scenario. Maybe, he hit it into a bunker and it was a, pretty tall lip of the bunker, so he couldn't, hit it very far. So he just kind of, chipped it out. And then he's like only, 20 yards closer to the hole. So you have to, rake the bunker. You have to get his clubs. You have to walk to him. And he's already there, like waiting for you to hit the shot. So you're, it gets you behind. You like physically can't stay ahead of him. Do you ever like what would you do? Do you ever like tell him like, hey man, I need a little bit of time to figure it out before we can talk through the shot? Or do you just kind of try to rush through it to, catch up to him? Or like how does that work? Because you don't want to, I guess, tell your player like, hey, like just slow down, I gotta figure it out. You kind of want to be ready to go. So
Right.
what would you do, and or did it ever happen to you?
Yeah, for sure. A good thing, usually there are other two caddies in the group, and so sometimes one takes over and rake the bunkers for me sometimes, and so I can be already with the player. So that's the ideal scenario. If not, if I have to do everything, then at that point I just let him do. Like he's gonna go on the ball, and I'm like, okay. I mean, it's hopefully it doesn't fuck up. Hopefully he can get a clear picture by himself. And then I just go there and with the bag, and he picks the shot by himself. So yeah, it's a bit a delicate situation. Depends on depends what happens. But no, you cannot really like, hey, just can you hold on a minute?
Yeah. That's
Just
what I was gonna say. It's like, it'd be weird because, and like as a player, you really should be able to like hit the shots on your own. Like it's not like, oh, like my caddy wasn't there. I hit it into the bunker, now I'm screwed. Like, what are you doing? It's I don't know. It shouldn't really be a problem. But I was just wondering,
Yeah, it's
how that
like
works from the caddy perspective.
we go back to thinking about what Harry is for Rory, right? Like, I mean, I'm sure some guys are more dependent on their caddies than others, but I mean, as a player, I don't think I'd want to be dependent on my caddy, but I would want some good input and good company. Um,
Yeah, or just like even just like a little confirmation. Like you pretty
yeah,
much know what to do, but like in a round, I'm trying to think. Like maybe you have, let's say, five shots where you're like, oh, like I don't know if it's a 7 or 8 iron, like and your caddy's like, hey, it's just a stock 7. What are you talking about? And you're like, all right, and you just hit it. It's like, you're not really looking for them to babysit you and tell you what to do. You're just kind of like, you want them there to make you a little bit more confident and committed to the shot, and um, take some stress off of you. Like I think a big help from from last year, because this year on the Pro Golf Tour they allowed us to use rangefinders,
mm,
so it's a lot easier. But like for me, I was always way offline with my driver, like somewhere on the other fairway, and then I have to like walk to my fairway, see where the mark is, and then like look at the angle and be like, all right, it's probably right here. Then you walk all the way to your ball and you kind of step it off. You're like calculating in your head, like then you have to kind of look at the green because you're coming from a different angle, so you're trying to figure out what's the actual pin position, like pace wise. And so, like, if you do that for 4 hours or whatever the whole round, it's a little mental work.
totally.
So, I think that's super nice if your caddy can help you with that. And now for Leo being a math major, it's even better.
Or sometimes when we get offline, you have to do some Pythagoras
Pythagorean theorem.
theorem to
Yeah.
triangulate the distance. You have
Like,
doing
hold on a
use the
second. I gotta do this formula. I gotta do this formula. Hold on a second.
the square root of that number squared.
The rules
That's
officials like,
awesome.
come on, let's
Basic
go.
math.
Let's go.
Basic math.
Hold on a second.
Let me pull out
That's
the
great.
calculator. No, it happened though. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it
no,
goes back to like you talked about just not letting your player do anything stupid, like in the first part. Like that's your main priority. Like if your vision of a shot is like totally off what the player wants to do, then there's got to be a conversation. But at the end of the day, it's like you're just trying to guide him in the right direction, and that doesn't mean that you have to have like an intervention on every shot, sort of thing. Um, which I think it
totally.
could be super easy to do, especially for me. Like you get talking, and then you're like, "Gosh, why did I tell him that?" Like, you know. But I deal with that as a coach too. Like I have to be able to mentally process, like, and get ahead of the player. And it'd be hard at times where you might be thinking something, but you really shouldn't say it because it makes it adds there's no clarity.
Noise.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, noise, right? like, which is something that I think all coaches, caddies, yeah, I mean, even players at times, like, let's drop that's just noise. Let's just focus on what we're doing here, sort of thing. Uh, what I'm
Where do you like? I don't know. I like for your emotions when the player is playing. Um, like making emotional decisions on the course. I think when I caddied for Barks in the U.S. Open sectionals or whatever,
yeah,
I remember this one shot on it was on the 18 where you hit the drive to the right, and
to the
I think
playoff.
there was like a
Yeah,
it was like a I don't know if it was a rough or pine straw or something like it was a weird lie, and the ball was below your feet, and you're trying to hit a hook
yeah.
from that lie, which was like pretty tough, and then there's water on the left. So for you as a lefty, obviously that's if you don't hook it 30 yards, it's in the water. And I was like, I knew it's not the right shot to hit. Like you could have just kind of chipped it down there, had like a 7 or 6 iron in and make par. Cause we are like, we're in, right?
Yeah.
And but you just like seem so confident, like, oh Pete, like I got the
I
shot, like don't
was.
worry.
I
Yeah.
was.
And
Yeah.
I didn't know,
I
like, I
yeah.
didn't know if I should tell you, like, "Hey, man, like, this is really, like, not the shot right now. Like, you just need to kinda hit it down there, put it in the green, and then, you know, make par and qualify." But, like, if you hit the shot, obviously, it's a much easier par because now you don't have a 6 iron over water, you just have a 70-yard wet shot, and you can even make a birdie to, like, really make sure you make it. And so I remember I let you hit the shot and then you hit it in the water. I'm like, "Oh my god, like, what the what the fuck are we doing?" And then luckily you ended up, getting up and down after the drop to still, qualify or make it into a playoff.
Well,
Um,
that was hole 1 of the playoff. Remember we went 2 we went 2
oh,
holes.
was it already in the playoff?
It was in the playoff, we made that mistake,
Yeah,
and
even worse, like,
yeah, right? And I did a good job getting back to the moment, like, of, like, "Hey, I can still get this up and down," and he's got a lot of pressure to try and make a birdie, so it's like, I could if I make a par, then we're probably going to another hole. But it's kinda interesting too because going back to what Leo said is, like, I think, deep down, I was really confident because I could really hook it in the past, right? Like, I felt confident that I could pull off that shot, and
yeah.
I was more scared of the 6 iron or 7 iron over water if I did chip it out, you know?
No, that's
Right?
kinda what I sensed out of you, like, you seemed so confident hitting the hook.
Yeah.
So I was like, 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 he's probably got it.
Yeah, and
And
but it's kinda interesting, like, if I vocalize that and put that more out in the open, like Leo said, like, "Hey, I get I could hit the 7 iron on the green, but I'm also scared to hit the 7 iron, like, over water. I could easily make
yeah,
a bogey that way." Um, Whereas I think I was confident that I could hit the hook and get it into a wedge position, which at that rate, I was confident I could make a birdie from there, you know? Like,
right.
but
Did that ever happen to you, Leo? Like, did you ever have a situation where, like, maybe you didn't know what the right shot was and you didn't wanna tell your player, or you did know and you didn't tell him, or, you know
Well, I think as a caddy, usually you try to keep it, try to keep the strategy on a conservative
yeah,
level. But there are a lot of situations happened in which the player was confident in the shot, in a more riskier shot, and I don't think there is much to do in those situations. Like if the player feels it, just have to let him do, because otherwise it goes a bit against his nature, and it's worse. It's if he's confident, just let him pull it off. And then, I mean, obviously in that scenario didn't go as well, but still you ended up making up and down, because I think you were confident in it. You followed your gut, and then you recover from it. There usually is a reason why he's confident, and in that case probably was because you were scared of that 6 iron over the water. And so there was a scenario last week in Munich. I started working with another player recently, an Austrian guy. Anyway, it was probably the first scenario in 2 weeks that we had worked together in which I totally did not see that shot that he was trying to pull it off. And I was like, hey man, I stepped in for the first time. I stepped in. I was like, dude, are you sure you have that cover? Because I mean, this ball was sitting in the rough, and he had a 5 iron, a blade 5 iron, and he had to cover 200 yards into the wind. I was like, there is no chance that he has this. So I was like, I stopped him, and I was like, are you sure we have this cover? And he looks at me with like cold blood eyes, like, totally, I got this. I was like, okay. Took the bag, moved out of the way, and of course he didn't clear the bunker. He did not clear the bunker at all. But it was his decision. I tried to step in. Maybe I should have stepped in a little more, in a more decisive way, telling him like, hey, giving him other options, like, hey, maybe we should just hit like a 7 iron before, or even a 7-wood. At least a 7-wood will have come out nicer out of the rough. A freaking 5 iron blade, no chance it was coming out. But he was confident. He was like, I got this. Don't worry. Like, okay, let him do. You cannot. I mean, it's hard to stop him in those situations.
I feel like also like the fact that you did step in and say something is good, because when it almost like gives you more respect when you have to do it again at some point.
Totally.
If you didn't say that, then he'd be like, well, I mean, my caddy didn't even say anything and I was going to do it. Right. Like,
Yeah.
so I feel like there's a combination of like every scenario being a little bit different. But
I think as a caddy, you should always kind of probably say what's on your mind. I know it's hard sometimes. You don't want to maybe put doubt into your player's mind, but if you truly think that what he's trying to do is gonna make him not like make him worse, but the shot's not gonna give him the best option to make the best score.
Yeah.
You should say it, every time, I think. So
for a caddy perspective, an insight, it's like, I think the caddy figures out the shot in his head. I figure out the shot in my head, and then it's like I have a margin of error in my mind of where the player can be in. Okay. And just subconsciously, if the player says something that it's out of this margin of error, like usually my mind goes in tilt. It's like, oh, something going on. Okay.
Yeah.
And usually it's an internal clue that tells me, okay, I have to say something, because the view of the shot between me and him, they are too far apart. Okay, they differ too much, and so it's important for me to be. We have to be always kind of on the same page. And if there is too much difference, then you have to speak up and say something, because I think sometimes Pete, you said you always have to say something if you really think about it. Yes and no. Like, I think you have to say when it's really out of this margin of error. If it's within, if it's like, you can still pull it off somehow. Like, just let him do. But if it's so far out, then yeah, you have to say it. Otherwise, I think it's also, as you said, Barks, it's a respect, but also it's a part of like not getting too submissive, because it can happen as a caddy being like a yes man, you know. It's
Yeah.
like, oh yes, go for it. Oh yeah, perfect, go for it. But then if you don't speak up, then maybe another situation comes up, and you're even more in a funk because you're like, oh, I'm even more scared to say something. So
Hmm.
like, if you keep yourself in that being on the same page, being on the same level caddy player, it's important for the, I think, for the relationship to keep going well, and for the to be able to embrace moments together throughout the rounds and certain situations. Because if the player goes too far up or too far down, then it's unbalanced.
It's probably good to address those situations like after the round as well, right? If you have
Totally.
a thing happen on the course, you don't really want to discuss it or fight over it as you're playing, but then or not even fight, like maybe it's just a misunderstanding, or maybe you don't like how the player um or what the player decided to do, but in the moment you don't want to really like tell him like, hey, like don't ever do that again. Or the player doesn't like something you did. So it's probably really important to just talk after the round and give each other feedback. And I think it's really from both sides. It's not just the player telling the caddy what to do, but the caddy, speaking up for themselves, as you said. Like you don't want to be just a yes man, because then like a situation comes when you're fighting for the win or something, or make the cut, and there's a lot of pressure, right? And in those situations, the players got to be able to trust you that what you're saying is, um, is good advice. It's not just like you're like making stuff up to, or just telling him yes, it's a good idea. Like he has to be confident that if you confirm something for him to do, you trust it 100% as well. And that probably, like for me as a player, I would want my caddy to actually trust what he's trying to tell me, right? I don't want him to just be like, "Oh yeah, it's a 3-wood over the water, just go for it. Yeah, yeah, you got this shot." Like if he thinks I don't have the shot, I want him to tell me, "Hey man, like your wedges are really good this week. Just lay it up to 80 yards and you're going to make a birdie that way. Like the 3-wood hasn't been working," or it's just an example, but um yeah,
Yeah,
I
no,
would want my
100.
caddy to be, yeah, just honest with me, and I need to trust him. So,
I mean, at the
yeah.
end of the
So
day, there are people out there, that you're fighting together. You're in this on the battle together. So if if you can keep a clean, clear air, and just being on the same page, usually things go well.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time people think, that the player is the main part, I guess, but usually people think, a caddy he just kind of carries the bag and whatever, right? But it's such an important part of the team, you know, like decision making under pressure, and then all the other stuff we talked about with giving feedback to the player and to the coach, preparing for the tournament. It's like such a huge part of the team. Like I remember all the stories you hear from like Steve Williams caddying for Tiger, right? And um, like stepping up, really speaking up his mind, not being afraid of, obviously Tiger, the best player ever. Like, what are you gonna tell him? Like, hey man, like, you misread this putt. Like, what are you, stupid? Like, you should hit it over here. Like you don't want to tell Tiger that probably, but um, yeah, as a caddy, you're such a big part of the result. It's crazy.
I think such a big part of that is like learning when to talk, learning when to say something.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you say something on hole 8, like you don't need him. Your job is to keep him present and working on, uh, on executing every shot he can to the best of his ability. Like learning to say, "Hey, this," like in your mind saying, "Hey, this is a conversation for later." like writing, jotting a note down instead of like saying something and then he's in a tailwind for like 3 holes, right? And you're like, fuck, I probably shouldn't have said anything, you know?
Yeah.
But this kind of leads into you guys played pretty well at a couple of events where you were around the lead, or I think you guys you got second in the Rolex Grand Finale or something like that. Talk a little bit about how it was being in the arena of having a chance to win, and maybe some of the players' tendencies that you noticed, and like maybe even how nervous they were, some things that you surprised you, or um you know, like, or some different tricks that you kind of learned under the gun.
Maybe even like how nervous you were, or if you were nervous, you know? Like both perspectives as from the player and from the caddy.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, the grand final in Mallorca last year. We're talking about that one. Yes, we came in a little bit of context, so at least we can. I think it's important for the conversation. We were coming in 18th place, and the top 20 were advancing to the DP World Tour. So it was a short field of 45 people, I think. And I mean, we had to finish pretty much top 20, top 15 to be guaranteed in. And so pretty much the only thing was not fucking up, you know, like if he would have played somewhat okay, we would have made it through, you know. The big goal was making it to DP. And I think that week I have to really praise Ste, because he showed up really owning his game with a great attitude from the first day to the last one. I think it was easy to maybe get distracted and feel extra pressure and maybe, you know, hit a shot wayward and you start spiraling. But it was super solid all week. So it was actually, I mean, we were cruising. I mean, it was nice because he had a really good first round. Shot 6 under the first round. I think we were leading or one behind. So I think starting off that strong helped everything kind of be a little more downhill. And I mean, the first day we weren't really feeling much pressure. Of course, the first tee jitters a bit, but we were focused. We were trying to just do good things, and I think things went our way. You know, he made a couple long putts too, so it was in a good headspace. And then the other 3 rounds were still like he was playing quite solid. So I mean, usually, you know, that helps. You just try to do simple things and put the ball on the green, made a couple putts, and here you are. Yeah, we were in the just behind the team leader, I think, on the last 2 rounds. So it was even better because we didn't have that much pressure either. But at that point already, I think the job was almost done. You know, there was a point he lost a ball, hit a really bad shot on 7 the last round. Ended up being a double bogey, but he didn't flinch too much. It was just, yeah, it was solid. It was, I think he really owned it that weekend. So yeah, in the end we finished second. It was great. Yeah, it was great for me. Yeah, for me, it's usually tough at the beginning. You know, at the first tee, it's always the first breaking the ice in the round. For me, it's always a bit hard. Uh, it's hard. Like let's say the player asks me something on the first tee. Okay, one second. It's a bit
Yeah,
difficult because you don't get. You know, you're starting the round, so like it's kind of a white slate for me. At least that's
no
how I usually.
momentum. There's no
No
momentum.
momentum. He's
Yeah.
like, okay, he's already asking me question. What the hell? Like, but then usually, you know, when you start going into the round, a couple of holes in, then you get in the flow of things, and towards the end, you're a trainee, you're just focused, you do the things, and yeah, it went well. And I think on the last green, I think on the last green, it was funny because, I mean, at that point already it was, you know, obviously we had made it. I mean, we were tied, we were second, but it was also important to finish high to get the higher ranking for the following year, you know. And so, and there were, I think, 4 people one shot behind us. So a par would have secured a second place, good money, and much better rankings. And he hit the perfect tee shot, and then he hit the wedge that spun quite a lot. So the pin was like middle long right, and we were in the front of the green. I hit the first putt and came up short, like 8-9 feet, and still looks at me. We look at the leaderboard, and we see 4 players, one shot behind us, and he's like, I have to make this. I was like, yes, yes, man. Yes,
Yeah,
we have to.
yeah, you do. Yeah.
Okay. He's like, he calls me in for a read because I think in that moment he couldn't understand anything. He was just so fucking worked up with the situation. And I'm seeing this like almost 2% left to right uphill. And he's like left edge. I'm like, God, man, I think this thing is way more than that. So I point. I was like, I think it should pass through here. You know, I'm pointing at a like pitch mark on the green that it was at least a cup left, at least. And he listened to me, and he made it. And he made it, and
That
it
had to
was
be one of your
fucking
coolest
nice. It
moments
was
right there.
fucking nice. And so,
That's great.
yeah, it was great. It was great. It was just a relieving moment. He really deserved the qualification because he grinded. He really worked his ass off to make it on it. So it was nice to also have that good finish. And then yeah,
That had to be
2
so
hours
cool,
later.
though.
2
I
hours
mean,
later, we were already on a plane to Singapore to play international series to keep the card there too. So it was crazy turnaround
yeah.
of events. But
But you know,
um,
to start on the Asian tour, get go to the Challenge Tour, and then make to the DP World Tour would be like, I mean, that's like almost a dream come true at that rate, right? Like,
yeah. So you also go through a journey that I mean, it gives you experience in other areas that maybe just on Challenge Tour you wouldn't get. You know, well, on Challenge Tour you play in China a couple times, in India as well, but playing fully on Asian Tour international series events were quite good. A lot of live players were coming to play, so that the level was quite high, and it was good for him, especially for the confidence, because we had a couple good finishes there, and that kind of, I think, that gave him the confidence to believe that he was ready for the DP. You know.
yeah.
Didn't you have a tournament there where you played and Bryson was in the field and he hit some crazy shot from a bunker or something?
In
I
India.
remember you were telling me about it.
In India.
Yeah. India.
Yeah, crazy
I
course.
remember
That
you
one.
saying like you went to look at the shot like afterwards, like look in the go to the bunker and see like what the actual shot looked like. And you're like, oh, there's no way I could have hit that shot.
I can't remember. Was it 18 maybe over the water? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
But yeah, Bryson was impressive on the range. On the range, hitting drivers. Yeah, that's another guy that struck me in these years. It was just launching these drivers to the moon. Um, just they were coming down 10 seconds later in the trees. So no.
What do you think is like one of your favorite moments while you've been caddying? Like one that was probably the most gratifying? Would it have to be that uh the, the grand final or whatever it was, or finally getting the DP World Tour card? And then what was like probably the most nervous you think you've seen your player or you in any event? At any other events you were around the lead, like with a chance to win or
Yeah, for sure. The grand final was it was the best week of these 2 years for sure. On the other hand, the most nervous was probably a month and a half ago in Spain. Um, we were just off the lead. Final group on Saturday and on Sunday. I think Sunday was the most stressful day we had ever on the course. I'll tell you a bit of the context too, because I think it's important also here to understand. Stefano has gone through a bit of a funk the first few months of the year. We missed a lot of cuts, and so just a bit of struggle. Also, confidence-wise, he was struggling to believe. I think that he was good enough to be out there. It's crazy how you miss a few cuts in a row, and all of a sudden the confidence drops. And so in Barcelona, I think it was a bit casual. I mean, we found ourselves after 2 rounds, one off the lead, and we had still a okay round on Saturday, and on Sunday we were final group was a twosome. It was that week when Jurav Premlal, that guy from South Africa, really young guy, broke the record. He won by 14. But at the beginning of the day, we were just 5 shots behind him. I mean, he already had a big lead, but everything can happen. It was windy, so I mean, we were like, well, if he makes a couple bogeys and we starts with a couple birdies, I mean, we're there.
yeah.
And I think it was a bit. I think the expectations were a bit too high, and obviously we were finding ourselves in that position after so many miscuts. So for us, we didn't really have a lot of momentum coming in. We didn't really have a lot of confidence. We found each other in that situation, and we were a bit like, oh God, what's going on? And he was quite nervous. Me too, to be honest. Yeah, I think he was both. We were both not in a great headspace. We started around missing a bunch of distances, just airmailing 10, 15 long, 10, 15 short. It was a bit weird with the wind. I think the ball was flying a bit further too, so it took us a bit of time to figure it out, and also maybe it was a bit of jitter also in his hands, so maybe not really hitting the number that we were thinking about. So I want to say it was a bit of both um, reasons, and it was tough to manage. Unfortunately, we tried to stay in it, but then after we made a couple poor choices as well, we missed it in a couple tough spots, tough to recover. So it was a bad round, but in the end, I think we had to go through it. He had to go through it first time in a final group on DP World Tour, just sensing that the victory feeling. So although it was a very unsuccessful day, but on the other hand, I thought it was a good learning stone that he had to go through, and yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's got to be nerve wracking when he hasn't really been playing very well or has been in sort of a funk, and then next thing you know, you're right around the lead, and some of that stuff can just happen, and then
Mhm.
you know you get under that gun, get under the pressure like that, like it can kind of expose like you're still struggling, you know, but
Totally,
you don't want to think that
totally.
way too, like you know, so it's got to be an interesting dynamic. Um, And I'm sure for you, it was probably one of those things where you learned a lot about how to manage your player a little bit better, just from him being under so much pressure, but then also not having his game, and that can come from, like, grinding to make a cut as well, you know?
Totally, totally. I mean, for him in that specific tournament, I think he found some good feelings on Wednesday on the range with his irons, and so the first two rounds he was just firing at pins and hitting it like really close, giving him a lot of birdie opportunities, and that's why we were in that situation. But then I think it was a fleeting feeling that he had found, and as soon as the pressure came in, he lost it. He lost it a bit, and obviously you're trying to still find it, but yeah, I mean you're coming off months of struggle, so it's easy that it goes away. You know, you haven't built up confidence on that, so that's what happened. In my case, I think I should have prepared around better. I should have walked uh, the course before, kind of like getting a sense of how he was playing with the wind, because there was a bit of a different wind, higher intensity too. So I also feel like I wasn't prepared, and so that's one thing too. I think preparation is also another big thing in this job. Like, and it relates to being ahead. It's
Yeah.
always it's also it's correlated. If you're prepared, if you know exactly where to miss, where to target, where to place the target, and if you have really good awareness of what's going on that day, then usually the round goes smoother, and you're ready to help the player if he finds himself in a bit of a funk. So yeah, big good learning day.
Oh, it's cool. It's cool you can, you know, you could just easily say like, "Oh, yeah, he just didn't have it that day," and, you know, he was struggling for months, so, it was hard for him to get it done. But it's cool that you really analyzed your performance as well, saying that you could have maybe prepared better, you could have walked the course, see how the wind affected, the ball that day, and I don't know, I didn't really think about, um really analyzing your performance as a caddy as well. Like you're kind of there to analyze the player's performance, but you know, you got to be self accountable as well, trying to learn and be better for the player.
Yeah, well, to be honest, this actually was feedback from Ste after, which is what you talked about before. You know, it's good to have feedback after the performance after the round, and that's what he told me. I mean, it didn't really came from a self analysis. It came from his feedback, and then I analyzed myself, and I was like, "Fuck, he's right. I should have done that. I don't know why I haven't done it. I think for me it was already. I was also thinking a lot about the result, and I forgot about the process. It's crazy, you know. And saying it now, I mean, I'm feeling super stupid because in such an important situation, I forgot to do kind of my job, and but I
And
mean,
it can easily happen. I think, like, also, it was probably such a unique thing as well because, like, you're chasing this guy that's 5 ahead of you. You're in the final pairing of the DP World Tour, like, if you win, then it's gonna change the player's life, you know, like,
totally.
and then you get to a point where, like, even on a normal day when you've had 3 days of the same wind and then all of a sudden it switches directions, it can really be strange because you're so used to hitting a certain line
Yep.
or having this club in and like with a 9-iron, it might be a go flag, but then all of a sudden you have a 5-iron in your hands
Yeah.
and that hole becomes really difficult. It can be hard to aim away from a pin or be in the mindset of like, oh, let's make a par. Um, like it's hard with no pressure, and then all of a sudden you add some pressure. Like it's tough, but that's kind of how you learn. You got to kind of have to get bit by the snake to learn.
Well said. Yeah.
Um, well, we're probably gonna wrap it up here soon, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the new player that you're working with and how that's going. His name is quite hard to pronounce, but Maximilian Steinlechner from Austria.
Oh, I know Max Steinlechner.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about how that's going. You
He's
actually
really good, by the way.
you reached out to
I
me.
play with him.
Oh, did you play with him?
I play with him a few times. I play with him in the Austrian whatever amateur championship, and then like the European team championship one year, and he was just super solid. I remember it was like really good ball striker, um, and just a fun guy too. Like it was really nice. That's cool. I didn't know you were working with him now. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's I didn't know that you play with him, so I'll let him know for sure.
I
And
don't know if he
so
remembers me, but I
yeah,
remember him.
we'll see. But yeah, we started working a couple of weeks ago. Um, yeah, he's as you said, Peter. He's solid. He's a machine. Really good ball striker. And yeah, it's interesting. It was good to change. Me and Stay, we just uh, decided to take a bit of a break. We needed a bit of time off from each other. I think a bit of the struggles of the early year kind of created some friction in our relationship. So we needed some oxygen from each other. And and yeah, I just texted Max and I was like, "Hey, dude, want to team up for a couple of events?" He I knew that he didn't have a long-term caddy, so I thought he was gonna be open for it, and he was. So it was nice, and it was nice to interface with a different player because, as I said, the relationship differs a lot, player to player, caddy to caddy, and yeah, he's just he's quite independent. He's like he knows what he's doing. Um, he has a very solid system of on the course. His process is always quite disciplined. Distance, target, where he wants to land it, the wind, how much it helps, how much it hurts in terms of meters. So it's very logic, straightforward. Um, he he straight up told me he doesn't need much. So for me, it's just kind of tagging along, making sure, yeah, double checking the distances. There were a couple times in Munich last week in which he is subtracted instead of adding, for example, and which happens, and so that's when a caddy is there to double check, and but the rest is just yeah, quite self-sustainable, and it's nice because yeah, it's we talk about random stuff on the course, and it's nice to play with him. Also, it's something that I wasn't really doing with Stay. Sometimes I can put in some small games or bets throughout the round to kind of maybe motivate him a bit more. he's like, his attitude is very flat. Like you see him on the
Mhm.
course and he's like, seems like nothing bothers him, you know.
Like a robot. I remember that.
Yeah, you remember that. Yeah, and but sometimes it's even at least from an Italian perspective, and we are more roller coaster. It seems like is kind of going down. You know, he's a bit almost not depressed, but he's like, well, whatever. He's like, okay, I'm making this.
Carefree.
But
Yeah.
obviously, he's just focused on doing his own things. But I just tried. One day, I told him, "Hey, if we finish, no, it was like a par five, and he was like in two in the greenside bunker, and it was kind of an easy bunker shot. And I told him, if you make it, I'm gonna get you gelato. Uh, and so that got him. That got him. You know, a little extra kind of in it.
Sure.
And you know, it was the final hole, and we were one clear of the cut line, so it was still a safe spot. But you know, it would have been nice to, you know, rack up a couple extra shots, a bonus there. So I tried to get him a little extra motivated. And also the final day, we were cruising one under through 11, and I was like, hey man, if we get in with 3 under, in the last, you know, 7-8 holes, I'll get you a dinner next week in Munich, and he was almost there. You know, he almost got it, and it was nice to see him. You know, he made a birdie a couple holes after, and he was like, "Bingo, one down." So I was like, "Okay,
Yeah.
that, you know, that got it. You know, that he's thinking about it." So it's like he's adding maybe an extra challenge to make him maybe a little extra focus and care about, you know, we were middle of the pack, we were like 25th to 30th. So I thought in my head it was kind of easy to, you know, cruise in, maybe just parts, maybe a birdie if he was coming in, but at least in that way, you know, i kind of I kind of got him too. And for me it was a bit more interesting too, because my money was on the line.
Yeah. Well, you know, like
No, I like it because I'm usually pretty similar when I play. Like I, I'm pretty level, and it's nice sometimes to have that little like little spark, you know, where it's like I start walking a little bit, like not faster, but like with a little more intent, I guess. And it's like, oh, like let's go for it. Let's try to make something happen. And I think for players like that, it's nice to sometimes have that feeling because obviously you probably don't want to be the big roller coaster, but if you can be pretty level and then get that little spark and get it going, I think that's the best combination.
well,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
it's interesting because I'm assuming that like uh your work with an Italian player was like you're always having to bring them down a little bit versus now the Austrian you have to like kind of spark them up a little bit, right? And kind of something that sticks out to me is like I think Scotty Scheffler talks about he played one round with Tiger and how it completely changed his game because they were playing on like on a Saturday or something like that, and he was tied for 30th. And it can be easy to kind of just get in this doing the same thing over and over. You're just like, okay, like we're here, but we're not around the lead. It's nothing crazy. We're just gonna keep plugging along. But he talked about how Tiger would have had so like he was like like it was he was fighting to win a golf tournament sort of thing. Like every
They're
shot
like super intense, right?
intensity was nuts. And he's like, "Well, maybe I should like do that, like act like every shot is like super intense and has the ability for me to like I should act like I'm trying to win a golf tournament all the time, you know?" Which is kind of interesting the different dynamic between the two players.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I don't think I was able to do that with Ste, and because also he was asking a lot more. So for me, the job there was doing a lot of things, kind of. While with Max, I don't do as much, and so I have more headspace to, you know, to perceive what he's going through emotionally, at least in my head. I can read the situation and maybe add that little intensity to make things a little more interesting. So yeah, it's been.
I thought you're gonna say. I thought you're gonna say you have more time to look at the interesting people in the gallery.
That too. That
we,
too.
we do that too. We do that too. But I was doing that with both, but it's actually quite fun. Hey, who's the blonde chick over there?
That's how it was going. Yeah.
And that's usually goes for the whole fairway, so it's nice to it's
Max is like,
talk.
hey, dude, we're playing golf here. Like, you still need to focus. Like, what? Oh.
That's so funny.
All right, Leo. So we'll probably wrap it up here. But before we get going, what do you got going on the next couple weeks?
And what's
you
next?
Guys, are you guys continuing the caddy relationship with Max, and what events you got coming up? And he's actually in the States right now, right? So
yeah. For me, I have a few weeks off. I wanted to take a bit of a break, spend some time at home. I've traveled a lot this last couple of years, so I feel like I needed a bit of time home to reconnect, to recharge, and then we haven't really, things are not set yet, but likely me and Max are gonna continue for the rest of the second half of the season on DP, starting second week of August. And it's going to be quite intense because there will be something like 10 tournaments in a row throughout Europe. Likely we're gonna skip one or two, but it's gonna be a bit of an intense second half. Points will be up. Tournaments, a bit more elevated tournaments. The pressure of the final tournaments, who keeps the card, who gets in the playoff events. So it's gonna be an interesting second half of the season. So yeah, for me, a bit of chill now to recharge for that.
Nice, that's awesome.
I think that's all we got. But we're really happy for you. We're excited to see what you and Max can do, and thanks for coming on, buddy. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank
Forza
you.
Italia.
Ragazzo.
Ragazzo. Grazie mille.
Andiamo.
Andiamo. Andiamo.
Thank you. Thank you, boys.
Right,
it was very fun to catch up with you guys. So
yeah, absolutely. We got to do it more.
Great question. Very nice question. So I hope people got some cool insights from the tour.
I mean, I got some cool insights. I'm happy.
Yeah, we're happy. That's all that matters. All right, Leo. See you, fellas.
Ciao, guys.
Ciao, ciao.
Oh, he left and the recording is still going.
What a loser, huh?
But he had a tournament today.
Yeah, he's playing a tournament, so that's fair. But
Whatever. I would have loved to just warm down after these 2 hours.
All right.
And just
let me stop the recording here.